unmuting now. Hello? Hello, hello? Can you hear us? People hear us?
Let us know if you can hear us properly, if anyone is too low or something.
Yeah.
We will fix volume.
We're good? Prabesh is like, he's on it. He's on us, clearly.
Promote
you.
that. Promote Prabesh.
Promote.
Admin. Quick.
Alright. If we're good, then I just want to make sure. Just want to get more thumbs ups. Yeah? Okay, cool. Alright. Let's see.
Sick.
You guys can't see it, but we're watching Oscar in key shot right now. We'll get to it a little bit. Alright. So I guess we'll officially start since we're like 11 minutes in. This time we'll have a slightly proper intro, just a little bit. So welcome to another Edge Control live stream. We are streaming today with Oscar Cafaro. My name is Denzel, and
I'm Zavi.
That's Zavi. We both run this event, this platform, this educational thing, and a little bit about what Edge Control is, if you're not familiar with it, is we're essentially an event in Toronto, Canada, where it's an industry event, essentially, where we bring 6 artists and professionals to come speak to students or educators or other professionals just about what they do, and they give presentations and stuff like that. And in the event we have like lectures and demos and portfolio reviews and friendship, and it's a fun time. You can kind of see it, on the screen there. Just a little snippet of what we actually put on in Toronto. And if you're interested, you can always go to the website link to learn a little bit more about it. If you happen to want to rewatch this live stream or want to sort of watch other live streams that we've done, we do have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/Edge Control. And we've basically recorded a bunch of different streams in the past from different artists. There's honestly a ton of really good information in here, and I'm really not just saying that. We always learn something every time we talk to people. And if you do happen to miss anything, or you want to see like behind the scenes of what we're actually doing at Edge Control, which we'll do more, you can follow us on Instagram and all that stuff. But yeah, so today we are streaming with this lovely person, Oscar Cafaro. He's done a bunch of stuff. I'll let him introduce himself since he's much, much better at doing that, but I'll just scroll through his work as he explains it. So please, Oscar, take it away. Who are you?
Yeah, I'm here. Thanks for the introduction.
Oh
yeah. That was nice of you. The starting part is always the most difficult.
It's weird. It's
okay.
Let's start with where you work.
Where I work, I'm currently working for Dreamworks animation and Blizzard on Overwatch. I can't really talk about the work I'm doing on Dreamworks. The project has been announced, and it's the animated series of Fast and Furious.
Wow.
Oh.
So it's a lot of cars and a lot of vehicles. But I can go into details because everything is under NDA. So unfortunately, I can't show anything, or I can barely talk about it. But I have some room to talk about Overwatch because it's very well known. Everybody's playing it, and yeah.
That's pretty cool. I mean, for those of you, yeah, you gotta switch over to the screen.
Yeah, it's cool now.
Here we go. So, Oscar was showing us like part of his workflow where he's taking a 3D model into rendering and trying to finalize and present it, right?
Yeah, as I was saying, like I'm working with different clients. So my main clients are Dreamworks and Blizzard, but I also work for different clients. You know, sometimes it's for a couple of weeks, sometimes for a couple of months. But for for the sake of simplicity, I just say I work for Blizzard and Dreamworks. And I was saying, like, I use different workflows, right? Because each project has different needs, and every art director has a different kind of insanity, right?
Yeah.
So it's like everyone is different with different needs. But I feel like that it's almost 3 years now that I'm working for Blizzard, so the workflow that I use for them is it's for me now like very easy and very quick to do.
Mhm.
And I was thinking that to go to that path. So probably the first thing I can show is that 3D model. You know, I work with SketchUp, but I know everybody's constantly telling me, why don't you use Blender? Yes, I know, but seriously, I don't have the time to learn because time is everything. And most of the time is I prefer working than learning, which sounds a little like, I don't know, cocky
Counterintuitive.
probably, but I swear it's really not. It's just that when you commit to a project, you're like, and you find the workflow, the right workflow that works. You're like, if it works, I'm not gonna change it. It's like it's a big risk to change the workflow while you're running, right? It's almost like shifting gear while you're driving too fast, right? So if you shift your gear down, I know in Canada there's an automatic, mostly automatic gear shift, but like I come from Europe and there's nothing like that. So we have manual. And
Drive
manual
stick.
is like, I remember my dad telling me, like, if you go fast, never like shift, like move down it's like you're gonna break the engine. So to me, like, it's kind of the same thing. Like, I'm going so fast right now, like I'm working with my clients and I'm so full of work to do that the way to escape that is routine. Like, I keep doing the same thing. And to me, in that workflow, there's SketchUp. So I don't really like, I'm learning Fusion a little bit because for cars or like, SketchUp is not the best. But yeah, most of the work is done in SketchUp. So, and more or less, this is the quality of the work. So like, it's not
really
too crazy.
So
Yeah.
clean.
So in that kind of vein, Otaku Amazing was asking what are the softwares that you use for a typical workflow, or at least for the workflow that you're going to show us today.
For the workshop I'm going to show you is SketchUp, but since I don't think we have the time to go through the whole process of a whole concept, because it's going to be at least 3 or 4 hours, and I don't think we have the time to do that. But I use SketchUp and I use Fusion a little bit. Then I combine the two, and I use Keyshot and Photoshop.
Okay.
Like that. That's very basic. It's very, very old school probably, but it's very basic.
So from what I remember though, for SketchUp, the biggest benefit to you was the infinite library and kit bashing, right?
Yeah, to me it's like it's extremely light as a software. It's extremely, and then there's also I can kit bash. I have a bunch. I have my own library. I don't know if I can show you. Let me check. I have my own library. It's gonna take a while to open, but.
You can take this however way you want. Just want to quickly explain why you're going through SketchUp and why you use it in general, right?
Yeah, this is like way more than than a typical live stream. So this is like it's a treat, man.
So yeah, take it however way you want it.
Yeah. Okay. No, I just have to pressure everything in a short time.
Yes, yeah.
But so I don't want to lose time. But yeah, it's gonna take a while because I have a bunch of softwares open, and the file is pretty heavy. So I'll show you. as soon as done. But basically, this is I don't go far. I don't overwork the 3D model. Like this is what I usually do. It's like very blocky, very boxy.
So
Still super smooth.
is this a design for something, or
Yeah,
is this
this
like personal?
yeah, this is for Overwatch, and I told you like I wanted to do something nice for you. Like I wanted to take one of the first, if not the first, I don't remember exactly, one of the first concepts that I did for Overwatch and rework it. So I can actually show you like the improvement that I've been doing throughout 3 years now.
Okay.
So I can tell you like when I started on Overwatch, honestly, I didn't even know what they saw in me. It's like, why do you even want to work with me?
You're too
And
humble.
no, seriously, I'm gonna show you, and you're gonna think the same. It's gonna be like, where is it? Oh, wait, give me a second,
No
because
problem.
I can't really show you that folder, but
No, that's okay. I know that
yeah,
like when I'm in my situation, kind of going back to what you were saying about workflow, I think the difference working at where we work is I'm at least in a position where the work is slower, and there's more chance for me to integrate newer tools like little by little, because you can't go like full steam learning one piece of software. But
yeah.
I think like I feel a little bit more lucky the more that I realize my position, just because of how much time I actually get to do something and how much time is available for me to learn and grow and apply immediately. So
Yeah, it makes sense. As I said, time is almost as precious as talent,
yeah.
because those two things are like go together. Like if you have talent but you don't have time, well, you're screwed. But if you have time and you don't have talent, you're screwed either way, right? So sometimes you need a little bit of talent and a little bit of time, and you're going to be like grow. And it's just a matter of time again, and like you're going to be fine. So yeah, I totally agree with you. Like, yeah, here we go. Takes a while, but I want to show you this thing over here. Yeah, gas station. Oh, there we go. Like, this is ready. Just give me a second.
No problem.
My PC is about to explode. So this is my library, SketchUp library. So I have a bunch of pieces that I have and I use, and I mix and match sometimes when it doesn't. And I do stuff. There's everything, but I would say like 30% most of the time. 30% of the work is done with kit bashing, right? So I have I have my doors, I have my handles, I have whatever shapes, right? I have things, I have stuff, complicated, less complicated. I have tanks, and sometimes I take part of it. Sometimes I do whatever.
Yeah, that's really awesome though. I know a fear with kit bash is that your work will end up looking like a lot of the other works out there if they're using similar assets.
Yeah.
I like the way you can alter them to the point where I can't really tell what you're using. Like, it seems like you made the geo from ground up almost.
Well, I work when I work in 3D, I always work in two steps. Like the first step is very like blocks. I used to remind to myself I have this. I don't know how to call it. I used to say where and what. So I have to define what I'm doing and where it is going to do, and where is it going to be. Like, so to me, it's like my style or the way I work is, because I don't really like to talk about style, but the way I work is volumes matter the most, because it's almost like, to me, it's like there's always a visual digestion. Is that English? Digestion?
Digestion?
Like digestion?
Digestion, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like It's like if you give too much stuff, it's going to be easier. It's going to be difficult to digest. But if you give chunks of food, like chunk of ingredients, for whoever watches the concept or the idea is easier to swallow, because in this, like for this one, for instance, let me go on here. It's like it's easier. This is the volume of the pod. This is a cryogenic pod. There's the volume of the cryogenic pod, the volume of the case, the volume of the the cradle that moves the pod, and that's it. Like you read these 3 volumes like right away. So something that I try to do is always like, it's hard to explain because it's very abstract. It's like you have to tell something in the driest way possible. It's like in the simplest way possible. It has to be simple to say. It has to be simple to understand. Then all of the details don't matter, like at all, like 0%. It just like make up, like literally. But yeah, I want to show you this. I think it's interesting. Yeah, this is one of the first concepts that I did for Overwatch, and the map is Antarctica. It's maze map. It's like, you see, this is ketchup, but see how this is like very lame. It's like very, very like basic.
But your proportions are really well put together, and the graphic read of it, like you said, it's super easy to digest. You don't have crazy amount of colors or crazy amount of buttons. You really hit the style though. It's that a bit.
It's their style. But what I love is that after 3 years, and like this is like actually like it's way more fun to do, right? It's like
it looks really fun. Yeah,
it looks really fun. It's like when you see it, it's like, oh, I love this, different touch of light, different. The small tiles and a few things here. Or if I can show you something else is, I don't know if you play Overwatch, but
my little brother does. I watch him.
It's actually it's getting pretty good. The quality of the maps, the art is great.
Yeah.
So like see the difference between this and this, I mean. So like when I do this, actually it's faster than this because I processed my workflow so many times. I did this so many times. Like this is probably concept number 300. So I'm like, wow. I did it so many times that I'm like, yeah, okay, just do it. So again, see, like the volumes are very, very easy to digest, right? To me, it's like I don't go crazy or anything.
Yeah, it's really, really good. Like, you're using the similar like ideas as before, right? When you're doing the cans and this, same thing. Your shapes, your graphics, it's like.
Yeah, it's almost like here I'm a teenager and here I'm an adult, right? So but I'm just a different person. So the DNA, my face is the same. Just here I'm not developed enough, and here like okay, I'm fully grown.
Yeah, your comfort in your workflow and how well you understand it allows you to just design as much as you want, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So so basically, see like. This is the workflow I want to talk about. So this is the thing, and what I'm trying to do is like I try to find a nice point of view with a good amount of shadow and a good amount of light. So this is a little too gray, but I like this shadow. Cast shadow like this. It's very interesting. This is interesting too. And what I do is
45-degree angle.
Yeah, I love that because it gives a lot of depth. And again, like my intention is always to give. I don't want to go too complicated.
Yeah.
So I can move a little bit, but yeah, it's gonna. I think we're almost there already. Yeah, I think this is better, a little better, because this is white, I can see. Yeah, this is better. So I'm gonna make a render, and I think it's gonna take a few minutes. let's say, well, we don't have too much time, so I'm gonna do it with this.
So while that renders, I'm kind of curious about how you actually come to this design. So like the thought process, as I understand it so far, generally speaking, you're talking about volumes. To me, that's like big, medium, small shapes, or like what are like the clearest shapes to read. When you actually go to do that in SketchUp, how do you actually block in those shapes? And you don't necessarily have to go into SketchUp. Like you could talk about it, or like illustrate in Photoshop or something.
Well, as I said, it's very complicated to explain because, like in my mind right now, I have so many things at the same time because I try to to make a difference between creative process and painting process. Like to me, those are two separate things. I never mix. So when I try to find the idea, so that my one, so when I try to do what you just asked me, like my mind works in a different way. Once I'm done with that, to me it's a puzzle. Once I'm done with that puzzle, now I have another problem to solve. So I have to make it pretty. So I have to paint, I have to make the 3D model or whatever, or in order to communicate that. So to me, ideas and the shell, right, in which the idea is in, are two different things. But if I can show you like very quickly, I think it's easier with SketchUp actually. I usually do this.
Don't kill your computer.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good computer, but I'm using it beyond its potential right now. It's like why are you doing this to me?
You can do
but
it.
basically,
It's for the audience.
what to go like super easy. This is what I do, and it's the same thing that I was saying before. Where and what. So I try to define what first and where after. So what is a cryogenic pod made of? So I try to answer this question. Of course, it's a little difficult to me right now to explain that because most of the time everything is on my mind. Like I don't talk to myself, right? So it's a little weird to hear my thoughts right now. But what I do is this. Okay, I need this. I need a pod, right? Then I need an engine to move the pod. Because like in the brief, the pod, it was like, okay, we have an horizontal pod, and then we are going to see that the pod has been open. So we have a bunch of vertical pods, but one of them is open. And how do we understand it's open? It's horizontal. So by this brief, I understand that we need a mechanism, right, that moves the pod. Okay, and then the other thing is I need a case where the pod is. It's like it's almost like a frame where the pod is stuck in. So I have three elements, right?
Yep.
Okay, now you see three blocks. Like in my mind, I see a pod, and a mechanism, and a frame, right? So what I'm trying to do is, okay, what if the pod is very tall, right? And the mechanism is very wide, okay? And the mechanism is like behind the pod, and the frame is underneath, below the pod, right? And this is one thing. And I stop here. And then I go and I'm like, okay, what if the pod is triangular, right? And what if the mechanism is another triangle on top of it? Okay? And then I'm like, what if at this point, since we're talking triangle, what if the frame is another triangle behind it, right? Mm-hmm. So it literally takes, 5 seconds, right? And I have 2 different ideas, right? And then I call it, again, I have so many things in my mind right now, but I go like this for, let's say, half an hour at the most, and I create 4 or 5 different ideas. So in this case is, what if the pod is, a cylinder? It's like, it's very typical, right? And what if the pod is a cylinder? So see, like, I'm trying to understand what and where. So this is the frame or whatever, the wall mount or whatever. This is the pod and it goes that way. This is the mechanism and it goes exactly there, right? So to me, I know it's very rough English, but to me it's like where and what. I try to really process it in a very, very, very simple way. So in this case, it's like, okay, so the pod is going to be a cylinder. The frame is going to be like a typical frame like that, but very tall. And the mechanism is going to be within the frame and the pod. Okay? And we can say, like, this is kind of a horizontal development of the idea, right? I show you what I mean by horizontal development, like right now. It's like, okay, so I have 3 ideas, but those are like very rough. Only me can understand that. Like, I definitely cannot present that to a client, or nobody would understand me. Okay, so this is like of an horizontal development. Now I'm like, okay, what about a vertical development? So I take each of it and I'm like, okay, now I'm trying to do it better. So I try to improve the quality.
Oh.
Right? So I give a little bit, cool. Like, so I try to make it like, okay, this is going to be this is going to be like, I don't know, like this, right? And maybe I can tilt it a little bit. And the frame is going to be, probably can be very, I don't know, very tall. I don't know, like, I really don't know. It's like, I try to come up with an idea quickly. I don't think too much, right? Or maybe the frame is going to be more like, more like this. Okay, so I have this, right? So it's the same thing, but it's just vertically evolved. You know what I mean? And the same thing is for this. It's like, okay, what if this is going to be like, all of it is going to be tilted a little bit. And this is good. This is going to be like way longer, right? But it looks like a coffin, right? So I don't want to go to that way. So okay, maybe it's better if it looks like a star. So I'm gonna do like, I'm gonna evolve the shape a little bit more, but I don't go too much farther, right? And then this can be something else. I think you got the process, right? Yeah. And then again, so I take this and I move like, okay, again, so okay, let's make this a little better. So this is gonna be like to the point where I literally get to this point here. Right? But in a way, the first, how do you say, like the first step, yeah, the first step, that's like the horizontal development, is there, still there. You can tell, right? So you can tell if this is like, okay, the frame is going to be a C, like a C shape, and the cylinder the pod is going to be a cylinder, and the mechanism is going to be like a triangle that makes a triangle here. So I don't really know how to get to this point, like this, like talking, right? I just let things happen in a way, right? But yeah.
Sorry, to add on something to this method you're talking about, where you're doing the horizontal first, then the vertical. A lot of people, including myself, I catch myself doing one of the horizontal steps, but then constantly going on the vertical side, where it's the same big shape, but millions of tiny changes, and I call them all thumbnails. But in reality, there was barely any exploration on the big idea. Like the way you were freely changing the shape drastically before you're doing smaller iterations on each of these bigger ideas.
Yeah. You know, it's, to me, it's like, I don't know to explain. I don't really like thumbnails. I understand the need of working fast and generating ideas, but thumbnails to me got a little bit out of hand, if I have to be honest. Like, we didn't really understand the purpose of the thumbnails, in my opinion. Like, I don't want to criticize an entire community, of course, but whenever I see thumbnails, I'm like, that's completely useless in a real and in a real production, right? Because it's confusing. It doesn't solve a problem; makes more questions.
Right? The purpose behind it was supposed to do what you're doing, is making ideas, but it just became its own thing, like a lower quality asset.
Yeah. To me, it's like, if I can make an analogy, it's almost like when you have to go out with friends, and you decide. It's a fairly numerous, it's like a very big amount of friends that decides to go out, and they say, where are we gonna go, right? So there is a question to solve. Where are we going? And like, if you really care about your friends and going out with your friends, the thing that you have to do is like, okay, I think we have three options. We can go to Thai food, we can go to Italian food, and we can go to, I don't know, Greek food, right? So you give solutions. So you cannot control what the group is going to decide, but you give solutions, right? Mm-hmm. But there's another way that looks like you're giving solutions, but you're not. You're just confusing. It's like, but what if we don't go to dinner? What if we play a game? And so people are just like, so, I don't know. What if? I really don't know. Is it everybody down for that? So what if we don't go out at all? So to me, thumbnails are like a bunch of what if. You know what I mean? They're not answers to a question. Mm-hmm. So they don't solve any problem. They're just like, what if the problem is different? What if, we see the problem from another point of view? And that gets so confusing. And I'm like, now, actually, what I try to do is, I don't give more than 2 or 3 ideas, like 20 sketches. It's just not the way to go, in my opinion. But I don't know. So about the process, going back to the 3D model, I know I did it very quickly. I didn't have the time to explain everything. Again, I usually take, a day, to do everything. But when I usually get to this quality, I'm kind of happy, right? Mm-hmm. I'm like, And as I said before, at this point I shift. So I already gave an answer. So this is my answer. But now I have to communicate it in a way that on the other side is going to be well received. And that's the aesthetic part, right? Because of course, if I take a screenshot of this, it's going to be like, but this is not finished. We don't get it, right? So I have to make it pretty. And from here, of course, like, I completely abandon SketchUp and I go to Keyshot. So I have something like that. Now let me try. Okay, so I render the line as well. And I usually go to 6,000 because I don't want the line to be too thick.
Interesting.
I usually try to tweak it in the material options, but I guess this.
I didn't know
do you
that.
find this way more high quality?
The lines are thinner.
But
Holy shit.
so let me save, and okay, just in case. And what's going on? Oh, okay, right. So let me save and close Keyshot because it takes a lot of RAM.
But yeah, even you felt like the 3D part wasn't enough. I think that was pretty good. Like you covered the big idea. The rest was you constantly going through the same process over and over till you got to this right. So I think it's quite clear based on what you showed. It's something I want to try out too and abandon thumbnails in general and approach it in a more of the questions you asked, right?
Yeah.
Someone was asking, do you always start in 3D or do you sometimes begin by sketching? So I guess that part of the process.
Well, sometimes I do sketches, but I don't consider that artwork. You know, it's literally like notes. Like it's something I will never show to a client or something I will never show on our station, for instance. It's literally something that I tell myself because I don't want to forget. So the ideas are like there. It's like, oh, I thought that maybe this ship can be a very long cylinder. You know, I have this idea in my mind, and I draw a very long cylinder. So when I see that, that's that's the idea I had in mind, right? So, but I don't really do a lot of sketches. But also most of the time, and if I have to be honest, probably 8 times out of 10, that clients come to you with a sketch that's been done from someone else. It's like, yeah, this is what we have, but we don't really like it. So can you make it better? And or like, yeah, this is what our director sketched because this is what I want, but we cannot show this to a 3D artist. So the 3D artist team is never going to be able to build an asset out of that lame sketch. So the idea is there, and you have to unpack that and solve the problem, find a solution to that thing. So again, sketching is more like a personal notes. It's something I don't really. I'm not a fast draw. Like I can draw, but I'm not fast. I'm not very fast. Like I always need to do many iterations. Okay, now I have to stop sharing and reshare the screen because.
Indeed.
Hey, face. Hey, look at that guy.
Yeah, that's me.
Oh no.
No, because I switched and I'm gonna work on my tablet.
Oh, I see. Okay.
On my Cintiq, because I got a Cintiq finally.
Wow! Congratulations.
You rich.
Yes,
You have upgraded yourself.
Yes.
Now a first class
Yes,
artist.
yes, I did.
Yeah. So that's actually a pretty interesting process to me. Like I don't think I've ever designed in a way where I always I do tend to do this ideation part after where it is or not after, before, where I'm thinking a lot more about just what the hell am I gonna make, and I scribble until I have a relatively clear image, and then I execute it, or I usually I design by you know, like what is needed in the design, but like I do that in steps. So like if I'm designing like I don't know like maybe like some computer desk or whatever.
Yeah.
You could say that you could start it with like shapes or whatever, like in proportions, but my tendency ends up being like, okay, well, there needs to be a monitor and the keyboard, and I'll make the keyboard, and then maybe a mouse, or like, what does this guy do? He has headphones, and I'll like research headphones and be like, what's the best pair of headphones to put on this guy's desk? Like, it'll be like that.
But well, it makes sense to me. Like, I don't think it's honestly, I don't think there's a wrong and the right process.
Right. Yeah.
If that works, if you make good quality work, why not? I really don't. I don't think there's a way better than another. Doesn't. I really don't. I really don't think there is. This works for me. I'm comfortable with that. My clients pay, and they're happy with that, so I'm happy with that.
Right.
Yeah.
For sure. And the example Denzel gave, it seemed like it was a lot like a different type of task where you had to juggle a character wearing things, doing things. So I feel like if Oscar had to tackle that, he'll probably switch through some of his methods, right?
Yeah.
It depends on
As a
what you're
prop,
working on.
yeah.
Yeah, I feel like this process of like working with 3D and working about the idea of volumes and like horizontal development and vertical development works a lot with vehicles and props. Not sure about characters, but I never did characters. Like I never had the opportunity to do it. Like nobody ever called me to do that. I did it when studying on my own, but not to the point where like I'm confident in my process to make characters. So I don't really do it.
Right.
Yeah, I wish I could.
Yeah. It's Photoshop now.
So yeah, we're in Photoshop now. This is the way I organize my layers. Like, okay, this is the 3D. The quality of the render doesn't really matter. This is a little blurry, but not a big deal. So I make it barely visible because I don't want. Again, I don't like. This is a little weird to explain, but even shadows and lights create shapes. Right, so like we have this shapes here. Like if I can make it visually clear, like we have a bunch of shapes here, right? And we see those shapes, and sometimes it's like my eye doesn't see that, but my brain does. And right. So I want to get rid of that. I don't want to get confused. So I make like a layer that makes everything barely visible. So I can go back to the line and I have the shapes are like a little more clear. Like, okay, I have the block on top and I have this block down here with a bunch of noise. So it's almost like I read it this way. I read it like I have one thing here, right? I have one thing here, and then I have noise, right? So to me, it's like that's easier to digest because there's something I understand, something I don't understand, but all of a sudden I understand again, right? So yeah, that's okay, right? So I feel like okay, that it's good to give a little bit of rest and get a little bit of noise, but not too much noise and not too much rest. It depends, of course.
I see. That's an interesting way of looking at it.
Yeah. So this is like, again, there's also another, we can talk about rhythm. Like, to me, rhythm is also very, very important, right? So, I don't want to, if I have to be honest, I don't want to say too much because I'm preparing the speech for October. Edge Control.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about this. Like, I want to talk about rhythm. I want to talk about like the grammar of design. I want to talk a lot of things, but I feel like I'm not confident yet. I'm not confident enough yet to to synthesize those concepts in a few words.
Mm.
So I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm probably a little sloppy in my speech, but I say something and I don't say anything really. But yeah, like here we can talk a little bit of rhythm. So we have, again, this is very simple. This is noisy, and it's almost like when you look at heavy equipment vehicle.
Yeah.
Um, like an excavator, like you see like a lot of rhythm, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's very boxy, very blocky. Like the volumes are so strong, and those are real things, right? So, but again, I don't want to talk too much about this, and probably I want to show you more about the workflow.
Yeah.
So what I do is I organize a folder on Multiply where I put the lines. So the black is visible, the whites are not visible, and I work this way, which is a trick that maybe anybody can use. But I basically do this. I erase the corners. So every corner I see, I get rid of every corner.
Huh.
Which sounds weird, I know, but
yeah. I want to see where this is going.
so now is like something that I did so many times that I'm comfortable enough to say, okay, I want to get rid. I don't think too much, and I'm like, okay, what I'm going to do now is like get rid of the corners. I don't think, right? It's like, okay, I get rid of the corners. So I don't think. That's what I'm going to do. I get rid of the corners. Like, see corner away. Like, doesn't matter. Everywhere a line intersects, I just nope. I don't want to see it. And again, I know it sounds weird. It's very weird when you hear your thoughts from yourself. It's like, what are you saying, man?
Okay.
You're insane.
You're gonna trust your process.
Yeah.
But if you trust my process,
I'm just genuinely interested. Like, why is he doing this? I need to see what happens after this.
This is a good plot.
Yeah, this is like
it's a good plot twist.
Yeah, man, this is like the best story I've ever read. Like, what's
I designed this, now I undesigned this.
What?
Yeah.
But why?
What? But why?
Yeah.
So okay, we're not going too crazy. Like, okay, so again, I get rid of the corner. So this is the difference I have.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm gonna say something that's even crazier. I redraw the corner. I redraw the corners. But now,
okay.
I try to think in two ways. I redraw the corners and I emphasize the volumes. So I'm going to redraw this corner is here, right? So I want to emphasize this volume here, which is actually probably just going to go like down here somehow. I don't know yet. So I use this brush. So if everybody wants to know, which is like a standard brush, like this, right?
Okay.
Oh, sick.
So again, all right. So I redraw corners and lines like that, like very quickly. Here we go. Corner, get rid of it, and I redraw it.
Nice.
Oh.
So I try to think about the volume here. So I want to make the outer lines thicker than the inner lines, right? So again, corner, I get rid of it, and I redraw it. Here I don't know what's going on, so I don't touch it for now. I redraw the corners.
Oh, so you're erasing out the parts that kind of even out, like the read of the line drawing, and now you're redesigning the line work so that
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
clearer. Well, I
Yeah.
see. That's interesting. I never thought that. I don't know why corners never like occurred to me. Because like anytime I see like a technical drawing, it always looks like very. It's it looks sexy because like everything like the line is even and like things are clear, but you have to read into them a little bit more. And I think like this is
Yeah.
it's a very basic drawing principle of like emphasizing it's just like design, like
Yeah.
design your line work to show what you want to say.
Yeah,
Or
I remember
needs.
getting the traditional education we were having. We were always told like, when lines intersect, make it heavier, and when the lines are underneath where the light isn't there, make it heavier. It's
Yeah,
almost like
Yeah.
you're applying those things.
I remember that was like
To,
a nice life drawing principle.
yeah. I think there are a few ways. To me, is I use this concept if I can. I use this idea. To me, this is a line, right?
Hmm.
A line is made of three things: one, two, and three, right? So to read a line well, I can either have this point in the right place and this is not in the right place. So you need at least two. So it's like if point one and point two, sorry, are in the right spot, right?
Mm.
Then if you draw a line, it's going to be okay.
Mm.
Or either way, like if the line is okay, and one of the point is there where it's supposed to be, and the other one is like that, it's okay too. They both serve the same purpose. But if you do this, no, right? It's like, yeah, whatever, it's a line. But of course, like I'm pretty sure there are people who work like with very messy lines and they make beautiful work, so it doesn't matter. And for the thicker lines, I'm like, whenever two faces are touching, the line is thinner. Whenever the face is touching or not touching anything or touching the background, is thicker. So, for instance, this is a cube like like that, right?
Hmm.
So these two faces are touching. So this is going to be thin. These two faces are touching. So this is going to be thin. But these faces are not. This face is not touching anything here. So this is going to be thick. This is going to be thick. Right.
The
This
outer
is going to be
shapes
thick.
and inner shapes, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, this is like some weird science. So going back, I try to be very patient. Right now, I'm going very fast, and like I'm a little like my line is a little nervous.
So like
Mm.
if you were to do just like one of these lines the way that you normally would, what would that look like?
Uh,
If you weren't
what do
rushing,
you?
like because like you're going like really fast trying to get all of them. Can you do like just one of these lines or connections that are more considered?
Okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah, just to like see. Just a lot
You know,
slower.
I take my time.
Yeah.
I don't like say it's not very
This is
difficult.
quite surprising.
Like wow, he slowed down.
Like yeah, you just slow down. You listen to good music, and you're
Mm.
good.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
Okay. Interesting.
so usually the like for something like that to rework the line, it takes around an hour, half an hour. That depends on the complexity of the of the original base model.
Yeah.
And again, like this process you used in for Overwatch in particular.
Yeah.
Have you used a similar process anywhere else? Like like some of your like Nat Geo stuff, for example, kind of resembles a little bit of this.
No, not really.
Really?
Uh,
Okay.
no, not really. Because Nat Geo stuff, the first season, I wasn't even working on Overwatch. It was more than 3 years ago. And the second season, I did it with a completely different workflow. It was key shot, rendering, like picking, like selecting all the materials, the right materials, making like crazy render, and just touching a little bit textures.
Mm.
So it was a very different process.
I see. Someone in the chat was asking, who are your favorite designers?
My favorite designer, hard to say. My favorite concept artist is a Chinese guy. His name is Yang T. I don't know exactly, and he's great. Like the way he paints is just good. My favorite designer, I don't think I have one. Mike Hill is very good.
Oh yeah, delicious.
Mike Hill is very good.
Smart guy.
And it's Zabi. Zabi's my favorite designer.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yuck. I don't know who that is.
I really like car designers.
Car designers, huh? Yeah.
Car designers are like a very good inspiration most of the time.
Yeah.
And I think I'm pretty sure I have a favorite designer. Danny Gardner maybe. Danny Gardner is like a very good designer.
Danny Gardner. What does he do?
Yeah.
I haven't heard of him.
He works for Respawn.
Danny.
Danny Gardner is a very good one. And
I would search them up right now, but my keyboard is mechanical. Don't want to destroy people's ears.
I think I found him. Oh, it's this guy.
Yeah, you found him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, I might have seen some of the stuff before.
Oh, he's done Apex.
Oh, these are beautiful.
Yeah.
He has a beautiful finish too.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he's one of those who work with volumes a lot as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if I can say he's my favorite designer, but it's definitely someone I look up to, for sure.
Yeah. I remember you were in the live stream. I have to apologize, by the way, because I forgot. I don't know. For some reason, I wasn't recording that last live stream that we had back in 2019.
Yeah.
You were talking about like how you take inspiration from like just real life stuff. Like you were showing us like a retro or like a vintage hair dryer or something like that.
Yeah.
I remember you were talking about how like certain, just like the design of certain things that aren't super conventional and how they really interest you.
I don't remember that conversation in particular, but it makes sense what you say. So I probably said that. To me, it's more like it's about research, right? It's like this is another thing that's super important to me. Like someone before was asking about sketching, right? And sometimes it's almost like sketching is how you find the idea. But the way you find ideas is when you feed your brain with good food, right? Visual food. So that's how you find an idea. So it's not like you find an idea. It's almost like the idea presents itself to you like a very good one. Because when you work as a designer, you don't have one idea at the time. Like you have a lot of ideas at the same time. And 99% of them are like terrible. So your idea is like, it's almost like an abstract gold digger. And it's like looking for the golden idea between all the shit that your brain is thinking, right? So, but that amount of dirt in your brain depends on the amount of stuff that you see around you, right? So that's why I'm saying like sometimes like the way that a designer solve a problem on how to hold a dryer. That's like a very smart idea. So you think about that. That's a very good way to solve a problem, right? And I can use that solution too. And maybe that solution is for dryer. I can use that for a spaceship, which is not necessarily. I use the shape of a dryer to make the shape of a spaceship, right? Which is fine. Like I see many people doing that, and it's like super fun. It's amazing, but I don't necessarily talk about that. It's more like the way the human brain solves problems is the most genuine input that a designer can have, whatever problem that is.
Mhm.
Right. So sometimes, and I'm not joking, is sometimes even like the way I find solution with my wife about, I don't know, buying the right furniture for my living room is like, wow, that's like a very smart way to think. And if I apply that uh, to the way I do my concept, or like I experiment ideas, that's like a very good path. So I think about generating ideas like paths, right? So you don't know where you're going, but you can at least choose the direction, right? So if you know where you're going to the right direction, like there's a lot of signals that are telling you if you are going to the right direction or not, but then you don't know exactly what step by step you have to do. Like you just you just go along. I don't know if that makes sense.
I think on some level it makes sense to me, at least not in terms of designing as much as it does to idea generation. Because
Yeah,
I think like I have a tendency to rely a lot on just stimulus to give me something. Like if I have to create something or concept something, I think either I'll have an idea and I need visual stimulus to help me design it properly, or I won't have anything, and or I won't have anything, or maybe I need more, and I'll just overwhelm myself with looking at stuff, and my brain will. I tend to let my brain do the work just by, um,
yeah,
looking at stuff. So like I
yeah,
I have a folder on Pinterest that's like, I don't know, it's like called "Fuck Me Up" Chan, and it's just filled with like the most random images. But I try to like amalgamate them. Or I remember like there were times when in college I would get people just to say words at me, and those words kind of snowball into things in my mind. So in
yeah,
a way, to me it sounds like you're saying to have your brain do the work by feeding it
yeah,
with stuff that you would have never have thought otherwise.
yeah. I think like a very good exercise that anybody can do about this is whenever you're looking for something, make the effort to not look at what other artists made. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, I want to design. Well, I have to design because of work, or I want to design because I'm building my portfolio. Cryogenic pod again, which is a very very common thing. Like everybody did that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a very sci-fi archetype. So I don't want to look at what you did, what anybody else did. I want to look at a ball, like something that reminds me of a cryogenic pod. Like when I think about again before I was talking about where and what, you know, I abstract my thinking. So I try to do the same thing. It's like, okay, I have to um, I have to design a cryogenic pod, and I'm trying to say what is a cryogenic pod? A cryogenic pod is something that preserve something throughout like a certain period of time, because this is what a cryogenic pod is. Like, so it freezes a body to the point, like, I don't know, you can preserve that body for 50 years, 100 years, right? But if you think about that, a fridge is the same exact thing, or like a jar is the exact same thing. So like I can receive so many, so like right now I can go on Google and click, I don't know, sci-fi jar. And I'm pretty sure that I'm gonna have so many inputs. So it's like, I don't know, I'm gonna be like high-tech jar. And there's no, I don't know, this is gonna be like, oh, this is like, this can be my, like, I think this is quite ugly, but this can be like my input to design my cryogenic pod, right? Or this can be like, this is literally a cryogenic pod. It's the exact same thing. So it makes food last longer. It makes natural, like organic product last longer. So
slows down decay.
Right. So why? But if I go on cryogenic pod, dude, they all look the same. Like, look at that. Like, they all look the same. So if I feed my brain with the same thing, I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna do like, I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna be like, which is, if I have to be honest, which is exactly what I do here, right? It's gonna do a cylinder, with a triangle or window. And so I don't know, right? You know what I mean? I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like, you can find inputs anywhere, literally everywhere. But just thinking about the real meaning of whatever you're doing.
Yeah, that part I think I tend to miss. Like what I was saying before is like I take from everything and I try to force it into whatever it is I'm designing, without really considering what it is I'm actually making necessarily.
Yeah.
Like I'm thinking of one particular design that I had to do for work, and
Yeah.
I remember I was just looking at stuff and just trying to
like.
Yeah.
One thing that's very interesting. My wife is. I don't know if you met my wife, Zabi did, but
Oh yeah.
my wife is very good at cooking. Like, very, like, she's legendary. I swear. Like, she cooks like a god, like a goddess. She's great. But like, if sometimes, like, I observe her, the way she goes to the grocery store, and I'm like, wow, that's how I'm supposed to do research when I do my work. She's like, she goes there, like, she examines every food, and she like I barely go with her because she takes like hours, like in a grocery store. But I'm like, the way she does is like, okay, I'm gonna buy the best food that I can buy today, and I'm not gonna buy the food according to a specific recipe, right? I'm gonna buy the good food, right? Because if each single ingredient is good, then it doesn't matter how I put it together. The food is gonna be good, right? And that's like, I'm like, why do you buy strawberries? Are you going to make a smoothie? And I'm like, I don't know. Maybe I'm gonna make, I don't know, a cake. She's like, I don't know, but these strawberries are good. So whatever I make with those strawberries is gonna be good. And I'm like, that's how I'm supposed to do my research. Like, I'm going to look for something that's good, that's valuable. I don't know what to make of that, but if it's good, like, it's going to be useful in a way or another. But sometimes it's like, again, sometimes like I have to design a fork, Google fork, and I'm like, yeah, and you're gonna have like any kind of fork, good forks, bad forks, like plastic forks, metal forks, and so your brain is kind of confusing. So which one is a good fork? Which one is not, right? And That's extremely important in my opinion. The way you feed your brain, the way you do your grocery list, it's extremely important because it turns back in a way or another, for sure.
Someone in the chat was asking what makes this shape appealing to you.
I don't know. That's appealing. Well, we have to define what means appealing first, probably, but it's hard to. Right off the bat, I would say simplicity. Again, why everybody loves an iPhone and not like an iPhone is literally this, right? And why don't you buy a phone that's this shape? And it's like, because I don't get it. It's like, what is it? It's a, I don't know, penis? I don't know, right? But I get this, like, like this shape, I get it. So I didn't overcharge my brain. I get it, so it's appealing. Makes sense to me. So to me, aesthetic is almost like, it's almost like language. If I say something that makes sense, whoever I'm talking with is gonna follow. And if I say something that has a powerful meaning, like the other person is gonna be engaged in a conversation, and we're gonna have a meaningful conversation. And I don't think design is different. I know I'm making like a crazy analogy, but yeah, I think it's that. I think it's simplicity, and now that I'm thinking about it, it's function. Like when I see something that works, well, to me it looks beautiful. Like when I think about a tank, right? Like a military tank.
Yeah.
It's clear that whoever is the designer made it so every single piece is made for a purpose. So they're not like, oh, let's make the cannon long because it looks cool, right? So it's long because this way they can like shoot the bullet like very far. So there's a reason for that. And because there's a reason for that, you don't know the engineeristic reason because maybe you don't have the knowledge. But your eyes doesn't get it, but your brain does. So your brain does understand that shape is that way for a reason. And that's why, in my opinion, at least me, I find it appealing.
Let's see. Yeah, to me that makes sense. I don't know. I was when I saw that question, I was immediately like, oh man, this is we're getting the philosophy territory. I think that is a relatively straightforward way of looking at it. It communicates something clearly.
Yeah, it's like, it's something you can make something clearly and something that you can, at least pretend it works. And
since we're still talking about design, I want to get to Ruby Sia's question where she's like asking, with the grocery store analogy, what are the ingredients you're looking for when it comes to design?
Ingredients?
For design.
For design.
The analogy you're using with the grocery store analogy thing. Like how your wife goes to do
It's a tricky question. If I want to keep going with the analogy of the grocery store, I go to a grocery store that I know first. So in that case, to me is like, I don't watch bad movies. Like I don't watch. I don't know if that's a thing in Canada. I don't know. I don't watch the Big Brothers. Like I don't watch. What's the TV show?
The singing.
I don't watch cheesy movies, or like I don't watch cheesy TV shows. I try not to. Like if it like and I like for instance on Instagram, I barely have friends. I have a bunch of like heavy equipment, designers and stuff like that. So literally, when I wake up in the morning, I was doing like something on the beach. I don't know, right? So that's kind of like I try to keep my brain fed with something that's interesting. I know it sounds like a little bit, I don't know how to say, religious, maybe. It's like, come on, man. It's
Yeah,
like, but yeah, or well,
that's true.
probably the most simple way is like I look at other people's work that I love. But probably that's not for a specific work that I'm doing. It's more to feed my sense of competition most of the time. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, that guy's good. I want to be better, right?
Yeah.
But I don't try to steal their ideas, or
So basically, you're
it's
saying if
like
you're
it's a very good question, actually. It's like, where do you find your ingredients? Mm. Well, I think in the most professional way, I can say, if you're working for Overwatch, for instance, well, play Overwatch. Like it's very straightforward. Like if you're working for, I don't know, Dreamworks and Fast and Furious, look at Fast and Furious. Like there's everything that you need to know. Something that I learned from Nathan Bowden, which was my leader at Blizzard. Now he works at Epic, but he was probably the best lead that I ever had, like when it comes to work. He always told me, I don't want you to design exactly the asset. I want to I want you to think about the DNA. Like again, if you're designing the cryogenic pod, we are going to change it. We already know that we are going to change it because 3D artists are gonna make the difference. So the final product is going to make the final asset is going to be made from the 3D artist. But what we want you to do, the DNA of this uh, this cryogenic pod in this case, and that helps me a lot to understand. It's like, okay, like I don't have to waste time on the details. So, like for instance, something that I understand what looking at Overwatch is things are shapes are exaggerated, but not too much. But they're exaggerated in this way. So if there's uh, I have to find the right example. Uh, if there's a lamp, right? So this lamp is going to be very like the elements are very minimal, so are very chunky, but those are like very visible. So those are very digestible. So to make a good job for Overwatch, what I try to do is like, okay, like as soon as I see on Pinterest an image that's very digestible, like following that criteria, I save it, I look it, like I keep it in my phone, right? And I study it. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, totally. Just like you always compare it with cooking, if you're putting too many ingredients in, you're just gonna have a muddy thing, right?
Yes, yeah.
Um, so I don't want to like rush you with this stuff, but I just
No.
want to acknowledge that we've been going for like an hour and a half. I just want to know if you're doing all right on time or whatever, and if you aren't, But if you'd like to, like, would it be possible to see like what you would be doing after this sort of line
Yeah.
art stage?
Okay, so just give me a second.
Yeah, no problem.
Like, I can just get rid of this. I can actually make it. So let's pretend this is done, the line. There would be like a lot of work to do, but so what I do is I work on the shapes. Let's do it quickly like this. So I have to prepare the silhouette a little bit, like super quickly. Okay.
So do you do like a flat cell shaded thing?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense. The thing about erasing corners too, that was interesting. Do you have any other tips for, I guess, generating line?
Generating lines?
Yeah.
Not really.
All right.
Not that I think
No,
of.
that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. Maybe one suggestion, more than a trick, is use a very thick or like a very strong brush, even if it's just to exercise. That makes your line better, because if you can draw with like a very hard brush, then you can draw with any kind of brush. Like, for sure.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So okay, so this is what I do. Like the step right after that is I do. Let's say this is a black and white sketch, just to go a little faster. So I do colors in like flat colors. So this is multiply like 40%, 30%. So I do it like that, right?
And this would be...
So to me, like this is like, I don't know. I know not everybody agrees with me, but to me, color is not an element of design. To me, color doesn't constitute design to me, but helps you to emphasize the design. But it's not really design itself. So what I'm going to use design color here to make some shapes pop more than others. But I made a mistake. I knew it. So I'm sorry I'm going fast because we don't need to, but I'll try to get this like done quickly. So this is a good exercise to me for future talks, because I need to be faster. No. The thing is, like, it's not easy to talk and draw at the same time.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Not supposed to, I think.
Yeah.
But it's good that you have like something prepared. Like, you didn't do this from scratch, and I think it ends up being very, like, the way that you did this demo, it became very clear to me, at least, like what your process is about and how you think and approach it. Especially, being able to digest it in like just an hour. Like,
Yeah.
you get a sense of like what you actually go through to design something.
Sometimes I think, while working, I can do this like quickly. So I'm like, yeah, I can do this. I can show them, fairly easy. And then it's like, yeah, then you talk and then you try to answer questions and then you get distracted. And
you're juggling a lot. But I really appreciate how far you got, though.
Which is totally fine. Well, you're being nice. No, I think if we have, how much time do we have? Because like I can see here, not a problem to me. But I don't want to have people like, what is this doing? What is this guy doing?
Maybe like another 15, 20 maximum.
All right, okay, so I'll try to do it super quickly. Or if you want, like, we can keep talking about something if you have specific questions. The thing is, there are so many things to talk about, and
that's what the event is for.
Yeah.
Catch him there, everybody, please.
You don't have to explain like literally everything that you're doing. Sometimes it's just nice to just watch and talk. If you like, I guess 2 switch gears, if you'd like. For what we were talking about.
Let's say this is done. Like, I would go a little bit into details, like, I don't know, this may be here. Okay, but there's something I do is like, I already have the shadows here, right?
Yeah.
So what most people do is like they use a very soft shadow brush, and they start doing this, right? I don't think it's a good way, at least for me. What I do is like, again, I go like down, strong, and confident. So on another layer, like multiply again, I take, I try to find the right, like that. So I'll say I'm happy with that, and I like go literally like that.
Right. So you're primarily adding these darker values to make the shape read better?
Yes.
In a sense, yeah.
The thing is, like, if the line is done and the color is done, this is like a very 5 minutes work. Maybe not 5, but 10. It's like it's a very easy thing to do because you just like emphasize a few things. But like in this case, you go like this. Right.
Yeah, I like how you're breaking it down though. Like, I know a lot of people, when they're using those soft brushes, like they're trying to balance creating a form and focusing on like the turn of it, the volume of it, like throwing a million values in there, right? Which gets a little muddy. But I see thanks to your process, you have some of those values already pre-rendered where you can just focus on getting the bigger read.
Yeah, but see, this is like barely visible. Just give a little bit of, but it gives me a hint of what to do, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
Of course, it matters, but not to the point where I'm like letting the rendering telling me what to do.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. So like I like doing this kind of things where I have a line like that.
Frank from Northfront says he miss you a lot. He appreciates the stream.
Yeah. I'm doing my best.
He also says, Oscar, what color is a Ferrari?
Color is black and red. So that's another thing. Like I was talking about color. That's why I'm like, color doesn't constitute design, and that's a funny story. When I was teaching at Talent Tree. No, actually, that story comes from when I was working at Ubisoft, and we were working on Starlink, and I was trying to. We had to do like colors for the ships. And I was trying to explain, that this ship was white and black, but it was actually the engine was black, and the and the and the ship was white. I don't remember blue or white. I don't remember exactly. And everybody was like, "This ship is white," and I was like, "No, this ship is black and white." No, but this is white. And I was like, "Dude, what color do you see? White." No, it's black and white. That color is there, so it matters. And I'm like, it was so hard to explain. It was like, guys, like, you don't again, your eyes don't see that, but your brain does. So when you see a Ferrari, if that Ferrari would be completely red, and I mean the tire red, the engine red, the lights red, and the windows red, you would think that that's a toy because it sucks. Yeah. So it is red, but it's also transparent. It's also black. It's also like the rubber color. And you, as a designer, you have to think about that. And it's so hard to explain as a concept, even to artists sometimes.
Yeah, it's almost ignoring the things that are so basic to us. Like, you
yeah,
don't
it's
think
like
that you have to design a tire. It's always black. Well, mostly. Right?
Yeah. So again, this is super quickly, but this is a mistake. But again, I go super quickly like that, and also do color dodge.
Whoa.
Ooh.
It's color dodge.
The same thing.
Wrong brand.
Oops. Oscar draws.
Exactly. The same thing. I have to shoot I have to make a picture of myself and then make a gradient plot.
Oh yeah.
That's true. Here I'm flattening my shapes.
Yeah. He's a great dude though.
He makes it look really good.
I worked with him. Probably doesn't even remember. I worked with him once, not in the same place, but remotely. And it was he's good, super fast. He can get these things done super quickly. He's good, yeah.
But I don't hate the idea of you taking a photo of yourself and turning yourself into a prop.
Oh, it's super funny, actually.
That'd be hilarious.
That'd be kind of cool, actually. I'd love to see that.
And then we try to use the effect that Bob does. I mean, Ross does.
Yeah.
Where he's just like, wow, sparkles, fire. You don't have a Milo, though.
Oh, yeah, I don't.
You need a replacement for a dog.
What would be interesting is using photo scanning yourself and then using that as kit bash or something. That would be the equivalent, 3D concept rostros. Yeah. Anyway.
Is that your
okay. So right after this, let's say this is done. It's not done, but let's pretend it is. I do on top of everything. Again, I work on the line like this. So every line that looks toward me, it's going to be white. So, and that gives a little bit of realistic vibe. And I'll show you super quickly. So for instance, this line here looks toward me, but this line doesn't. This line here looks toward me, but this doesn't. So I'm going to do this. So literally this line is going to be white. So I am precise enough.
Wow, you've been doing your How to Draw Scott Robertson exercises.
So this looks toward me, so it's going to be white. This looks at me, so it's going to be white. So it gives it makes shapes pop a little bit. So this shape is same, right?
When you say look towards you, are you talking about the plane that the line sits on?
Yeah, like there's two faces, like they form an angle, right? And this angle is toward me, right?
It's the most extruded.
Yeah, like these two faces are forming an angle too, but this angle is toward the background, so toward the back of the thing.
Mm-hmm.
So same thing here. And like I learned this looking at a toy of a car. I was like, oh, that's like, if you like, I don't know if you have little cars like the Hot Wheels. They are exactly like that. Like,
I used to
like they're colored like, oh, like those lines are nice. I want to make them, and they work.
Mm. It gives me a feeling that edge is catching the light quite a lot.
Yeah. Well, technically it's true because this is round. Mm. So somewhere in this curve, the sun is bouncing toward your eye.
Yeah.
So, but this doesn't as well. Right, and if you want to go like a little crazy, okay, you can even do this. So where you like.
Oh, yeah.
So you adjust the thing a little bit.
I can't explain it. It just, those lights look so delicious. Like the shapes are so soft and natural compared to the hard surface prop you have. It's a really good contrast.
Yeah, the thing is, unfortunately, I'm going too fast, but it's fine. But then, like, after that, probably the last thing I do is like, try to do something like that. Last thing I do is I literally go, like, I paint on top of it, like, as much as I can. Like, I try to paint literally like that.
So you clip through the line a little bit.
Yeah. So it makes it a little more interesting visually. You know, you can sell the drawing a little bit more.
Right. I see.
Like if I'm focusing on this part right now, like I'm not gonna go crazy, but you know, you can literally go. But you know, like I never use. If I try to do this, it's gonna be messy. It's like, no, I don't like it anymore, right? It's gonna take too much time. But if I go literally like that. All right, it's like.
Right.
So of course, imagine that I have the time to do all of it like this. That would be nice, but unfortunately, I don't have the time.
No, the idea is there. At the very least, I can see like how you achieve the quality that you do. It's just a matter of being cleaner.
It's literally just a matter of like cleaning the design a little bit. Like you know, you can put like another trick I use is if you want to make like a little light of a line of light, for instance, like here, make the dark first, like this. Like you make the dark first, and then you make the white a little bit like this, and it looks like a light. Then you literally go like a little bit like.
Oh, I see.
It was like a something
Like an LED.
that's glowing, or I don't know.
And miss a part of the prop.
I see. That's cool, man.
Yeah, so this is it. I know we don't have too much time. You probably want to go sleep, or I don't know, play video games or something.
So, well, we're just trying to make sure that we all spend a good amount of time to go through the big ideas, and the rest is definitely would be amazing to see, and we'll probably see a lot more of it in the event.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just wink, wink, nudge, trying to sell it.
Yeah. Nice job. Good salesperson.
Yeah.
You know, as I said, I didn't want to prepare too much for this live stream, because I would said the same thing that I'm going to say for for the Edge Control Expo in October. So I'm like, let's go with the flow. Let's see what happens. I'm gonna talk to the guys, like, and that's it. So I'm sorry, it probably came out a little, you know, like an improvisation, but I had fun.
No, it's great. Honestly, we personally loved it, and we hope that the audience did too. And there was quite a lot for something you're saying that wasn't prepared. Like, I think there's a lot of value. There's a lot of big ideas that can be applied to any work. It doesn't matter if it's purely props either. So
Yeah.
yes, and
No,
yeah,
it's
we
great. I
have some
really
people in
hope.
the chat saying it's great. They love it.
Nice. No, it's nice. It's nice. No, I'm happy if you think it's helpful in a way.
Yeah.
It's great.
Cool.
Now to the point where I'm like, I enjoy this, so I don't want to stop.
It's okay.
You can guys go. Just
We'll just
you know,
let you
keep your
drop.
PCO.
Leave you
Like,
here. Okay,
yeah, leave
leave
me
the stream
here. Like, you
on,
can guys go. It's fine.
and
No, I'm joking. I'm joking. Okay, I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna show you my face for the last time.
for the last time.
Last time.
Wait.
So close. Oh man.
I love that corner of your face.
Yeah. That's my
Okay.
favorite
Here's
corner.
the food.
Alright.
No, that corner is fine.
Yeah.
That's where the ideas come from, guys.
Yes.
Alright, guys.
Yes, that is right. So here I am.
So we're gonna cut the
Smile.
stream here, guys. I just want to, as a quick reminder to the people watching, you know, we do record all these live streams. So if you are ever in doubt and feel like you want to come back to this, we will upload it to our YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/Edge Control, and you can always follow us on social media like Instagram for updates and behind the scenes and stuff like that of, you know, what we're doing for the event. And it helps us out too, just to get the word out there for the event. And we have an event coming out this October, and you can find more details about what the event is about and, you know, what's happening with it at our website, which we linked in the chat. And of course, beautiful Oscar Cafaro did way more than what he had to do for this small live stream. And
I tried.
like, honestly, just really want to shout you out because you've been helping us a lot with the event and motivating us in general. I think that the event wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for, you know,
Oscar.
it was for Oscar, really.
Yeah.
So, and thank you for...
Well,
Thank you so
guys,
much
you're
for
welcome.
supporting.
Thank you, actually.
Yeah, we're gonna see and talk to you guys again. Like Denzel said, keep in touch and see you next live stream, guys.
Yeah. Bye.
All right, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Have a